Imagine two students. One is in the US pulling all-nighters with 3 empty Red Bulls on the desk, eyes half shut while trying to memorize equations at 3 a.m. The other is in Japan, studying fewer hours, sleeping earlier, and somehow walking into the same exam and crushing it with a 90%. How is that possible? Why do some Japanese students consistently outperform with less stress, while so many Western students burn themselves out? Today, we're going to break down exactly how they do it, and how you can steal these methods to score higher without destroying your sleep schedule. Here's the reality. In the US and Europe, most students believe good grades equal long study hours. You'll hear things like study 10 hours a day, no sleep before finals, or grind now, shine later. But research shows that simply increasing hours doesn't guarantee results. In fact, it often makes things worse. Memory retention drops, attention span collapses, and your health tanks. Meanwhile, Japanese education emphasizes mastering the basics early. Instead of memorizing late, they build strong foundations, use structured routines, and reduced wasted effort. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. And here's the part that might shock you. Japanese students don't rely on coffee-fueled marathons. Their system is designed to make learning stick in your brain with less time. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact principles they use, and one hidden habit that almost no Western student talks about, but it changes everything. Stick around because once you see it, you'll never study the same way again. Western students often grind for hours straight, but Japanese learning culture uses short focus bursts. Think 25 to 40 minutes, then a short break. This is similar to the Pomodoro technique, but it's deeply ingrained in their school system. Why does this work? Your brain remembers best at the beginning and end of a session. It's called the serial position effect. By breaking study into smaller chunks, you create more beginnings and ends, which means your brain naturally stores more information. Instead of one 4-hour block where you only retain 20%, you get multiple blocks where retention skyrockets. Japanese students often learn with anchoring techniques. Instead of brute force memorization, they connect new information to something meaningful. For example, kanji characters aren't learned by random drilling, they're tied to stories, images, or patterns that make them stick. You can apply this too. Instead of trying to memorize mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell 100 times, tie it to an image, a story, or a joke. Memory champions call this elaborative encoding. It's why Japanese flashcard methods like Anki are so powerful. They rely on spacing, stories, and repetition instead of endless copying. In the West, students waste energy deciding when to study, what to study, and even how to start. By the time they sit down, they're already mentally tired. Japanese students, on the other hand, follow strict daily routines. Same start time, same materials, same system. Why? Because routines eliminate choices. Neuroscience calls this reducing decision fatigue. The less energy you waste making micro-decisions, the more energy you have left for learning. So instead of waiting until you feel like it, schedule a set block every day. Your brain will adapt, and it feels less like a fight, more like a habit. Here's a paradox. Japanese students often sleep less than Americans, but the key difference is how they sleep. Instead of one giant irregular crash after an all-nighter, they prioritize consistent sleep cycles, even if they're shorter. Some even take short recovery naps called inamori, literally sleeping while present. Why does this matter? Sleep is when your brain consolidates memory. If you destroy your sleep, your 10 hours of studying become useless. But if you study less and let your brain process overnight, recall skyrockets. That's why the Japanese motto isn't study until you drop, it's study, rest, repeat. Here's the big difference. Western students often cram facts for the test. Japanese students focus on understanding the concept. Why? Because when you understand, you don't need to memorize. It sticks automatically. For example, instead of memorizing 50 math formulas, they drill the core logic until the formula feels obvious. This concept mastery approach saves hours because you're not relearning the same thing over and over. If you've ever felt like you forget everything right after the exam, it's because you memorized, not understood. So here's the truth. Studying less and scoring higher isn't about being naturally smart. It's about systems, short focus bursts, anchored memory, routines that kill decision fatigue, sleep that actually strengthens recall, and learning for understanding, not cramming. Remember the student we started with, the one pulling all-nighters versus the one studying smarter? That choice is now in your hands. You don't need more hours. You need better methods. If you want more videos like this, hit subscribe because next time we're diving into the hidden Japanese habit that trains your brain like a memory athlete. Until then, stop grinding, start mastering, and go crush that exam.